This is ATN Global News. First, the headlines. Rivers High Court judges to resume January 13. NMA suspends medical services in Edo over doctor's abduction. INEC chairman pledges free, fair, tech-driven 2027 elections. Nigeria's non-oil trade exports surges by 21%. Trump signals possible further U.S. strikes in Nigeria. Manchester City signed forward Semenyo. Derek debunks claim Igbo artists don't support each other.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back. Chief Judge of Rivers State, Justice Simeon Chibozo Amadi, has announced that judges of the High Court will resume sitting on Monday, January 13, 2026, following the annual Christmas vacation. The court's holiday, which began on Thursday, December 23, 2025, and ended on January 9, 2026, was part of the judicial calendar for the state. The Chief Judge, through a statement by Chief Registrar David Ihu Amadwenyi, urged members of the public, legal practitioners, and litigants to take note of the resumption date, emphasizing that all judicial activities, including court hearings, filings, and case management, would return to normal from that day. Justice Chibozo Amadi also reminded courts and staff to adhere strictly to the official schedule to ensure the smooth administration of justice. He urged lawyers and the public to be punctual and comply with procedural rules as the courts resume. The Rivers State Judiciary continues to maintain efforts to provide timely and efficient justice with ongoing reforms aimed at improving case management and reducing backlog in the High Court system. Members of the public are encouraged to check official court notices for updates on sittings, especially for ongoing cases. Rivers State government has reaffirmed its commitments to the welfare of military veterans, widows of fallen officers, and officers currently serving in the state. The Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Benibo Abna-Braba, gave the assurance during the Central Planning Committee meeting for the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day held in Port Harcourt. He commended committee members for their contributions to the success of the Emblem Appeal Fund ceremony and urged them to intensify efforts ahead of the remaining activities. According to Dr. Anna Braba, activities will commence on Friday, January 9, with Jumat prayers at the River State Central Mosque, Port Harcourt Township, On Saturday, January 10, a humanitarian outreach, family and community day will be hosted for widows and veterans by the wife of the governor, Lady Valerie Fubara. He added that an interdenominational church Thanksgiving service will hold on Sunday, January 11 at St. Cyprian Anglican Church, while the grand finale wreath laying ceremony will take place on Thursday, January 15 at the Isaac Borough Park, Cenotaph. The highlight of the event will be the laying of wreaths by Governor Sir Simonalai Fubara alongside heads of security agencies in honor of fallen heroes. Coalition of United Political Parties has accused President Bola Tinubu of playing a central role in the ongoing political struggle between Rivers State Governor Simonalai Fubara and former Governor Nyesom Wike. CUPP claims the state's turmoil is being used as a political offering to Tinubu, with both leaders prioritizing personal survival and influence over the welfare of ordinary citizens. The coalition described the rivalry as shameful, noting that federal interventions, including a state of emergency and peace accords, have consolidated Tinubu's control over Rivers politics. While Wike and Fubara appear to be in conflict, CUPP says both are now firmly under federal influence, leaving the state's citizens as the real losers. The coalition warned that the disruption of governance and diversion of resources for political gains threatens democratic institutions. CUPP urged Rivers residents to demand responsible, issue-focused leadership and reaffirmed its commitment to defending democracy and federalism in Nigeria. Edo State chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association has announced the suspension of medical services across the state from Saturday following the abduction of 2 doctors. The association said the action became necessary in protest against the rising insecurity and repeated attacks on health workers in the state. The NMA chairman in Edo, Dr. Eustace Osegale, disclosed this in a statement on Friday, saying doctors in the state could no longer guarantee their safety while discharging their duties. He said the kidnapping incidents which occurred on January 1 and 2 had further heightened fear among medical practitioners and triggered urgent calls for improved security. One of the abducted victims, identified as Dr. Babatunde Abu, was kidnapped in Auchi, with his abductors reportedly demanding a 100 million naira ransom. Osegale said the development underscored the vulnerability of doctors in Edo, adding that the association would not resume services until there was a clear commitment to the safety of its members and the release of those kidnapped. The association also urged the Edo State government and security agencies to intensify efforts to secure the release of the victims and prevent recurrence across health facilities in the state. Abia North Senator Orji Uzokalu has declared that the All Progressives Congress is fully prepared to unseat Governor Alex Oti in the 2027 gubernatorial election. Addressing a large gathering of party supporters, Kalu told Governor Oti to write his will, insisting that the APC would decisively take over the state and restore what he described as proper political leadership. The former governor emphasized that he would personally campaign door-to-door across Abia to ensure Oti's defeat, describing the incumbent as inexperienced in politics and unfit to continue in office. Kalu criticized Oti for his banking background, saying it did not equip him for the complexities of governance and called him a one-term governor. He also reassured supporters that the people of Abia would exercise their democratic rights responsibly, warning that attempts to manipulate elections would not be tolerated. According to Kalu, the APC is committed to presenting credible candidates, strengthening party structures, and ensuring a fair, transparent process that will resonate with the electorate ahead of 2027. Ekiti State government will begin administering the measles rubella vaccine this month as part of its immunization program to protect children and close immunity gaps. The campaign targets children aged 9 months to 14 years and will precede the vaccine's integration into routine immunization at 9 and 15 months. State Immunization Officer Mrs. Omolabake Ogundola said the campaign aims to reach 17% of the population, with 90 to 95% coverage considered successful. Health facilities will remain open throughout the campaign, with mobile teams deployed to rural areas, farm camps, and security-compromised locations. Dr. Shegun Adeoye, Director of Disease Control and Immunization, stressed the critical role of media in educating the public and combating misinformation. Dr. Ebube Eronini of WHO described the campaign as essential to closing immunity gaps against measles and rubella, which pose severe risks to children and pregnant women. Mrs. Folakemi Aladenika of the International Vaccine Access Center urged caregivers to vaccinate eligible children during the campaign, noting those above the age limit would no longer access the vaccine once it is routine. Stakeholders, including traditional rulers, religious leaders, and school authorities, have endorsed the initiative. Managing Director of the Ogun State Waste Management Agency, Mr. Abayomi Hunye, has formally denied allegations of extortions leveled against him by members of the Ogun State chapter of the Association of Waste Management Vendors and Recyclers of Nigeria, warning that he may pursue legal action to protect his reputation. Hunye made a clarification during a media party organized by the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Ogun State Council, following a protest by waste vendors at the governor's office in Oke Mosan, Abeokuta. The protesters accused Ogwama boss of high-handedness, arbitrary fee increases, and extortion, calling on Governor Dapo Abiodun to remove him from office. Dismissing the claims, Hunye insisted that no waste vendor had ever paid money into his personal account, stressing that all payments were made directly into Ogwama's official government account. He described the extortion allegation as false and misleading, questioning how payments made into government coffers could be classified as extortion. The Ogwama MD also defended the increase in the annual registration fee for waste vendors from 100,000 naira to 200,000 naira, explaining that the decision was reached after consultations with the vendors due to rising operational costs. According to him, the revised fee was agreed upon in 2024 and paid by the vendors for the sudden protest. Hunye attributed the agitation to his decision to cancel multiple company registrations by individual vendors, a move he said was aimed at ensuring fairness and preventing a few operators from monopolizing business opportunities. Oyo State Police Command has announced a statewide enforcement targeting unregistered vehicles and motorcyclists, cancelling the identity set to begin Monday, January 11, 2026. The move, ordered by Commissioner of Police CP Femi Haruna, aims to curb criminal mobility and enhance public safety. According to DSP Ayanlade Alayinka, vehicles with fake or obscured plates and motorcyclists wearing hoods or masks will be seized and offenders arrested and prosecuted. The police stressed that routine stop and search operations, checkpoints, and intelligence-driven patrols will continue across the state. The crackdown follows intelligence showing criminals increasingly exploit unmarked vehicles and disguised motorcyclists. CP Haruna met with commercial motorcycle unions to ensure compliance, urging residents to report suspicious activities. Emergency contacts include the Oyo State Call Response Center and Police Control Room. Lagos State House of Assembly has passed the 4,444,509,776,438 budget of shared prosperity for 2026 into law. The budget, which was passed on Thursday, prioritizes infrastructure, education, healthcare, economic growth, and social development, with over 52% allocated to capital projects to drive inclusive growth across the state. While presenting the report on the floor of the House, the chairman, Committee on Economic Planning and Budget, Olumo Lukman, said the approved budget consists of 2.11 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure and 2.34 trillion naira for capital projects. Speaker Mudashiru Obasa thereafter directed the clerk of the House, Olalelekon Onafeko, to forward a clean copy of the budget to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for his assent. Lagos State's 4.4 trillion naira 2026 budget of shared prosperity has been passed into law today by the Lagos State House of Assembly. The budget prioritizes infrastructure, education, healthcare, economic growth, and social development, with over 50% allocated. Sanwo-Olu had on Tuesday, 25th November 2025, presented the 2026 appropriation to members of the House of Assembly. The same was committed to Committee on Appropriation, with other standing committees of the House as subcommittees for necessary scrutiny of ministries, departments, and agencies' MDA's proposals under their purview. Mohammed Gambo, chairman of the Kogi State People's Democratic Party, has declared his party's readiness to take over Lugard House in the 2027 elections. He described the APC as people living in a rented apartment and predicted a landslide victory for the PDP in a free and fair poll. Gambo cited PDP's past governance as a period of prosperity and emphasized the party's strong structures across the state and nationwide. He called for peace, lawfulness, and collaboration on security, stressing that Kogi remains a PDP stronghold. He urged residents to remain calm and supportive of security efforts, expressing optimism that the PDP will reclaim Lugard House. Recent electoral history shows the APC's dominance in the state, with Usman Ododo winning the 2023 governorship election by a wide margin, defeating the PDP and other parties. Members of the Kano State House of Assembly have unanimously endorsed the state governor Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf planned decisions to come to the All Progressives Congress, believing that remaining in NNPP that is already facing huge legal backlash is highly dangerous. The assembly members recalled the painful political experience of Zamfara State, where the governor lost out for not having a party, saying it was the key reason behind their support for Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf's proposed exit from the New Nigeria People's Party. The legislators argued that the unresolved leadership crisis and multiple court cases rocking the NNPP mirror the internal disputes that cost the All Progressives Congress control of Zamfara State in 2019, despite winning elections at the polls. Speaking to journalists on Thursday, the majority leader of the House, Lawan Hussaini, said the assembly could not ignore the legal dangers surrounding the party, warning that remaining on the NNPP platform could expose the governor and other elected officials to the risk of judicial removal. According to him, the NNPP is currently divided by rival leadership claims and ongoing litigation, creating uncertainty over the party's legal standing and the validity of its nomination ahead of future elections. Hussaini explained that the Zamfara case serves as a clear warning of how internal party disputes can override electoral victories. Drawing from that precedent, Hussaini said Kano lawmakers believe a similar outcome could occur if the NNPP's internal crisis is not resolved. He warned that ongoing factional battles and court cases could invalidate the party's candidate even after successful elections. Federal Roads Maintenance Agency has launched Operation Safeguard Your Roads in Katsina State, a road maintenance and youth empowerment program aimed at improving safety and restoring about 50 kilometers of federal roads. The exercise, which began on Thursday, is being carried out by chainage 31 plus 500 to chainage 50 plus 200 on the Katsina Donsima Kankara Road in Kofi local government area. Speaking at the flag off, the former Federal Road Maintenance Engineer in charge of the Katsina Field Office, Bashir Ishma, said the program is designed to deliver road maintenance, youth engagement, improve security, and economic growth in line with the federal government's renewed hope agenda. He explained that the operation focuses largely on vegetation control through clearing of trees and shrubs along road corridors to improve visibility and reduce accidents and criminal ambushes. He also stressed the youth empowerment element of the program, saying unemployed youths are being engaged for the maintenance work and will receive stipends. In his goodwill message, the Corps Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Katsina, Maxwell Lede, described the initiative as timely and impactful, noting that road safety and youth engagement remain critical to national security. He expressed optimism that the pilot scheme in Katsina would be sustained beyond 1 year, pledging FRSC's collaboration in public enlightenment and sensitization of motorists. Nasarawa State Police Command has dismantled suspected kidnappers' hideouts in Angara and Fadaman Bauna villages of Lafia East Development Area, arresting 6 suspects and rescuing 3 abducted victims. The operation carried out by the police operatives from the ASAQ division in collaboration with local vigilantes led to the rescue of 2 females and 1 male, all of whom were freed unhurt and later united with their families. According to a statement by the command spokesperson, Ramhan Nansel, the breakthrough followed the complaints received on January 7, 2026 that armed kidnappers had invaded Angara village, abducted 2 women, and abandoned an infant during the attack. The suspects were also reported to have later kidnapped a male resident in the same community. Following the reports, the Commissioner of Police in Nasarawa State, CP Shetima Jauro Mohammed, ordered an immediate manhunt for the perpetrators, which resulted in the raid of the hideouts and the arrest of the suspects. The police also stated that the suspects have confessed to the crime and have been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation and prosecution. The command reiterated its commitments to ensuring the safety of residents and urged members of the public to continue supporting security agencies with timely and credible information. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. Federal government has urged Nigerian pharmacists trained abroad to resist offers to practice overseas and instead apply their expertise to strengthen the country's healthcare system. The call was made on Friday in Abuja by the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Patey, represented by Adiola Olufowobi Yusuf during the induction and oath-taking ceremony for foreign trade pharmacists. Patey emphasized the need for skilled professionals to improve access to quality medicines and enhance patient safety and promote rational drug use, while highlighting government support for local pharmaceutical manufacturing as a means to create jobs and boost national development. Also speaking, the Director General of the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development, Dr. Obi Adigwe, encouraged pharmacists to return home despite lucrative opportunities abroad, noting that staying in Nigeria offers long-term professional fulfillment and the chance to make a meaningful impact. The Registrar of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, Ibrahim Ahmed, said the ceremony marked the successful completion of the 2025 Foreign Pharmacy Graduate Orientation Program, designed to familiarize foreign with local laws, clinical practices, and healthcare realities. The government's appeal seeks to address the sustained migration of health professionals abroad and ensure that Nigeria's pharmaceutical sector benefits from the expertise of its trained professionals. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria in Abuja has issued an order restraining the National Association of Resident Doctors and its members from embarking on the indefinite strike they had planned to commence on January 12, 2026. Justice Emmanuel Subulim granted the order on Friday after hearing an ex parte motion filed by the federal government of Nigeria and the Attorney General of the Federation. The motion was presented by the Director of Civil Litigation at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Maimuna Lami Shiru, who led a team of government lawyers. The respondents to the motion, also defendants in the substantive suit, include NAD, its national president, Dr. Muhammad Usman Suleiman, and the Association's Secretary General, Dr. Shuaibu Ibrahim. The court's ruling effectively prohibits the association from commencing any industrial action until the court delivers a final judgment, averting an imminent disruption in the country's healthcare services. The planned strike was reportedly linked to unresolved issues raised by resident doctors, including concerns about welfare, salaries, and working conditions. Now that had previously engaged the government on several occasions without reaching a conclusive agreement, prompting the federal government to approach the NICN to prevent the industrial action. The court's order underscores the judiciary's role in maintaining uninterrupted medical services and safeguarding public interest, especially at a time when hospitals across the country rely heavily on resident doctors to sustain essential healthcare operations. Observers note that the ruling could serve as a precedent for managing industrial disputes in critical sectors, balancing the rights of workers with national welfare. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Amupitin San, has assured Nigerians that the 2027 general election will be free, fair, transparent, and technologically driven, warning that the Commission will tolerate no misconduct in the electoral process. Amupitin gave the assurance in Lagos during the 2026 induction and strategic retreat of the Commission held from January 9 to 10, noting that INEC must adapt to a rapidly evolving electoral environment and meet rising public expectations. He commended INEC staff for their performance during the November 2025 Anambra State governorship election, describing it as a defining moment early in his tenure. The INEC chairman said preparations for the 2027 would pass through key milestones, including the February 2026 FCT area council elections and off-cycle governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun State. According to him, the Commission's work will be guided by 5 non-negotiable pillars: free, fair, credible, transparent, and inclusive elections. He also highlighted the growing influence of first-time young voters in 2027, stressing that they would demand openness and real-time transparency. Amupitin emphasized the strict compliance with electoral laws, declaring that under his leadership, adherence to the rule of law is mandatory. He disclosed that the retreat will deliberate on 17 thematic areas, including logistics, voter registration, election security, transportation, ad hoc staffing, and political party management. He said INEC has an opportunity to redefine Nigeria's electoral history, expressing optimism that the 2027 elections would set new standards. The INEC boss warned that any breach of the Commission's values would attract sanctions, stressing that there would be no tolerance for misconduct. Labour Party Vice Presidential candidate Dati Baba Ahmed has clarified that he has not declared interest in contesting the 2027 presidency, stressing that he was only reaffirming his membership in the party. He attributed recent rumors to social media sensationalism. The statement follows Peter Obi's move to join the African Democratic Congress coalition. Dati, who ran with Obi in 2023, said Obi's decision does not alter their relationship and welcomed him back to the LP if he does not secure the ADC ticket. Dati also requested that Obi submit his resignation and membership documents to the Labour Party. Dati emphasized that potential presidential aspirants must adhere to the Independent National Electoral Commission timetable and party directives before expressing interest. He said that the Labour Party remains a strong platform capable of mounting a credible challenge in the 2027 elections, with structures in place to support its candidate. He also highlighted the importance of unity within the party and warned against narratives that could create divisions among members. Dati reassured supporters that the LP leadership is focused on building an inclusive strategy for upcoming elections and ensuring all members understand the proper procedures for candidacy declarations. The vice presidential candidate reiterated that his commitment to the LP remains unchanged and he would continue to work with party stakeholders to strengthen its presence nationwide, particularly in preparation for the 2027 electoral cycle. And now to some business news. Federal government has directed all shipping companies and airlines in Nigeria to submit cargo manifests through the National Single Window platform to improve trade facilitation, transparency, and cargo tracking. The November 17, 2025 directive issued by the Ministry of Finance replaces the previous system where manifests were submitted solely to the Nigeria Customs Service. Shipping lines and airlines are now required to integrate with the NSW platform for seamless submission of sea and air cargo documentation. The National Single Window, inaugurated in April 2004, aims to streamline import and export processes, reduce bureaucratic delays, increase government revenue, and integrate multiple trade-related agencies into a single digital platform. Compliance is mandatory, and the memo was copied to key agencies including the Nigeria Customs Service, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Nigerian Ports Authority, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Nigerian Petroleum Regulatory Commission will determine procedures for accessing the 2025 licensing round on January 14, 2026 at a pre-bid conference in Lagos. The event will focus on the implementation timetable and bid package preparation, eligibility requirements, and winner determination. The 2025 licensing round, which commenced in December 2024, aims to attract $10 billion in investment over the next decade and add up to 2 billion barrels of oil, with an estimated 400,000 barrels per day once the blocks are fully operational. NUPRC has set minimum financial requirements of $100 million for deep offshore blocks and $40 million for onshore and shallow water blocks. Newly incorporated companies may use a parent company guarantee to meet these thresholds. The federal government has also reduced the signature bonus per block from $10 million in 2024 to between $3 million and $7 million to lower entry barriers. The 2025 licensing round will use a score-based evaluation system considering the signature bonus, work program, unit cost per barrel, technical and human capacity, bank guarantees, turnover, corporate governance, and green and decarbonization initiatives. Each bidder is limited to applying for a maximum of 2 assets, whether individually or as part of a consortium. Technical competence will be assessed based on experience in geological and geophysical studies, drilling and well engineering, reservoir evaluation, production engineering, development, planning, and facilities management. Nigeria's non-oil exports grew 21% to $12.8 billion in 2025, driven by policy reforms from the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Overall trade value rose 14%. Top exports included cocoa, cashew nuts, sesame seeds, shea butter, palm oil derivatives, fertilizers, and liquefied natural gas. Agricultural commodities dominate, with gradual diversification into semi-processed goods. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council trained 27,352 supporters, certified 200 MSMEs, and supported 3,047 farmers. The Women Export Fund awarded grants to 146 women-led businesses. Special economic zones generated about $500 million in export revenues and created 20,000 jobs. Investment pipelines exceeding $5 billion were developed, with 4 priority projects worth $13.7 billion advancing to later stages. Non-oil exports reached 9.2 trillion naira in the first 9 months, up 48% from 2024. Currency reforms and trade policies improved competitiveness and attracted international investment. You are still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is international tidbits. Benin Republic will hold parliamentary and local elections on Sunday, a month after an attempted coup. President Patrice Talon's ruling coalition is expected to consolidate power, while the main opposition Democrats Party is barred from local polls and a presidential race for failing to meet registration requirements. The Democrats will contest parliamentary seats but risk losing ground to Talon's bloc, which currently controls 81 of 109 National Assembly seats. Security concerns also loom, particularly in northern regions affected by jihadist violence from Burkina Faso and Niger. Talon, nearing the end of his second term, cannot run for president, but his hand-picked successor, Finance Minister Romuald Wadagni, is a front-runner against moderate opposition figure Paul Huongbe. The FCBE party may form a coalition with the ruling bloc after Sunday's vote. Recent constitutional reforms extended the presidential term to 7 years with a 2-term limit, meaning Benin may go years without elections after April, a move critics say restricts freedoms. Analysts note the Democrats face a high 20% voter support threshold in each district, further weakening their chances amid internal divisions. Amnesty International has warned of shrinking civic space, including attacks on media and arbitrary arrests, though the ruling majority rejects these claims. In a recent interview, U.S. President Donald Trump indicated that the United States could conduct additional military strikes in Nigeria if violence against Christians continues, following a U.S. military operation on Christmas Day that targeted Islamic State-linked militants in northwest Nigeria. December 25 strikes were described by the U.S. military as targeting extremist groups, with Nigeria's approval part of counter-terror cooperation between both governments. Trump framed the intervention as a response to repeated killings of Christians by militant groups. Though this characterization has been debated, Trump acknowledged that Muslims are also victims of violence in Nigeria, but maintained that Christians are primarily targeted. His comments have drawn attention amid broader debate about the motivations behind U.S. involvement. The Nigerian government has rejected claims of genocide against Christians, emphasizing that armed groups kill both Muslims and Christians and that security cooperation with international partners is aimed at counterterrorism rather than religious conflict. The 2025 Christmas Day strikes conducted in northwest Nigeria, Sokoto State, were carried out in coordination with Nigerian authorities, according to U.S. Africa Command. Nigerian officials confirmed the joint nature of the operation and stressed that violence against any community, regardless of faith, is unacceptable. Analysts and local sources have noted that extremist groups in Nigeria's north have killed both Muslims and Christians, and that the country's complex security challenges stem from multiple armed actors and weak governance in certain regions. Venezuela has begun releasing a large number of political prisoners, including foreigners, in a move praised by U.S. President Donald Trump as a sign of cooperation following the ouster of Nicolas Maduro. The releases, which started Thursday, are the first since Maduro's former deputy Delcy Rodriguez assumed power with U.S. backing. Trump called the gesture very important and smart, saying it signals peaceful cooperation and led him to cancel a second wave of strikes against the country. Former opposition candidate Enrique Marquez and Spanish activist Rocio San Miguel were among those freed. The White House credited Trump with securing the releases, with Venezuela's authorities insisted that the country remains independent and not subjugated. Thousands of Maduro supporters protested his ouster in Caracas. Oil has emerged as the central focus, with plans for the U.S. to sell Venezuelan crude and purchase American goods in return. Meanwhile, political and human rights groups estimate about 800 political prisoners remain in Venezuelan jails. And here now is ATN Sports News. Manchester City have signed Ghanaian winger Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth for a reported £65 million, $87 million on a 5.5-year deal. The 27-year-old, who has scored 10 Premier League goals this season, had attracted interest from Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham. Semenyo scored a stoppage time winner in his final game for Bournemouth against Tottenham and is expected to bolster City's attack across 4 competitions: Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup and Champions League. With injuries to Savinho and Josko Vardiol, City are also targeting Crystal Palace captain Mark Guehi to strengthen defensively. Semenyo, who rose through multiple loans from Bristol City before joining Bournemouth in 2023, said he is excited to join Pep Guardiola's side and aims to help City finish the season strongly. He could make his debut on Saturday against Exeter in the FA Cup at the Etihad Stadium. Super Eagles head coach Eric Child has urged his team to stay focused on Marrakesh training sessions and their next game against Algeria in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Child's side will tackle the Desert Foxes in the AFCON last 8 on Saturday evening in Marrakesh. Nigeria recently secured a victory over Mozambique in their previous AFCON encounter, while Algeria triumphed against DR Congo. Nigeria's clash with Algeria is set to kick off at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And now, entertainment news. Nigerian rapper Jerick has dismissed claims that Igbo artists in the music industry do not support one another, calling the narrative a fallacy. Speaking in a recent podcast, he highlighted that many of his biggest opportunities came from fellow Igbos, including Flavor and Fino, who collaborated with him without taking any payment. Jerick expressed optimism that Igbo language artists could one day sell out arenas internationally, similar to how Ashake has popularized Yoruba language music in the US and Europe. Popular Nigerian musician Ashake has reconciled with his father, daughter, and baby mama following public backlash over allegations of abandonment. The singer came under intense criticism earlier in 2025 after his baby mama Adijat accused him of neglecting her and the child despite her support before his rise to fame. His father, Fatai Odunsi, a stroke survivor, also publicly accused Ashake of abandoning him. Amid widespread criticism from fans and celebrities, Ashake reportedly reached out to his father, pledging to cover his medical expenses and provide him with a house. A photo of Ashake with his father that surfaced online on Friday confirmed the reconciliation. The development comes days after the singer also reunited with his daughter and her mother, signaling a return to family harmony. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers High Court judges to resume January 13. NMA suspends medical services in Edo over doctor's abduction. INEC chairman pledges free, fair, tech-driven 2027 elections. Nigeria's non-oil trade exports surges by 21%. Trump signals possible further U.S. strikes in Nigeria. Manchester City signed forward Semenyo. Jerick debunks claims Igbo artists don't support each other. I am Favor Chikwesri Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on social media platforms on Twitter now X at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. And don't forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do have a wonderful night rest.